They say revenge is a dish best served cold. But sometimes, it's even better when served with a side of justice. I never thought I'd be the kind of person who would meticulously plan someone's downfall. That's not who I was raised to be. But Emily? She changed everything. She didn't just betray me, she systematically destroyed every aspect of my life while wearing the mask of my best friend. And for what? Pure, unadulterated envy. Let me take you back to where it all began. Emily and I met in 3rd grade when her family moved into the house next door. She was the new kid, standing alone at recess, clutching her lunchbox like a shield. I was the first one to walk up to her and ask if she wanted to share my chocolate chip cookies. That moment sparked a friendship that would span 2 decades, or so I thought. We grew up sharing everything: clothes, secrets, dreams. I was there when her parents divorced, holding her while she cried herself to sleep. She was there when I lost my grandmother, helping me sort through old photographs and memories. We were more than friends, we were sisters in every way except blood. Emily was always the wild one, while I played it safe. She dated the bad boys, I focused on my studies. She jumped from job to job, I built a steady career in marketing. But I never judged her choices. Instead, I celebrated her free spirit and was always there to pick up the pieces when things fell apart. When I met James at a company event, everything in my life felt perfect. He was charming, successful, and looked at me like I was the only person in the room. Emily was the first person I called after our first date, gushing about how he could be the one. She seemed genuinely happy for me, offering to help plan our dates and even suggesting the perfect spots for romantic evenings. The proposal came a year later, and Emily cried tears of joy when I asked her to be my maid of honor. She threw herself into wedding planning with unprecedented enthusiasm. Looking back, I should have seen the signs. The lingering touches when James was around. The way she started dressing differently when she knew he'd be at our gatherings. The subtle comments about how someone like James usually went for more adventurous women. But I trusted her completely. That's what makes betrayal so devastating, it only works when the trust is absolute. The first crack in my perfect world appeared 6 months before the wedding. Small things at first, important wedding vendor emails mysteriously ending up in my spam folder, appointments getting mixed up, deposits going missing. Emily always had an explanation, and I believed every word. Why wouldn't I? She was my best friend, my sister, my rock. Then came the whispers at work. Rumors about me taking credit for others' work, about inappropriate relationships with clients, about unstable behavior in meetings. I couldn't understand where these stories were coming from. My previously stellar reputation began to tarnish. Projects were reassigned. Colleagues stopped making eye contact in the hallways. I was so focused on defending myself at work that I almost missed what was happening with James. He became distant, constantly checking his phone, working late. When I asked Emily if she noticed anything different about him, she would reassure me while subtly planting seeds of doubt. Men sometimes get cold feet, she'd say. Maybe he's realizing marriage is a huge commitment. Each comment was delivered with just the right mix of concern and understanding. The truth came crashing down 3 weeks before the wedding. I left work early, exhausted from another day of damage control, hoping to surprise James at home. Instead, I was the one surprised. Through our bedroom window, I saw them. Emily and James, wrapped in an embrace that left no room for innocent interpretation. I didn't confront them immediately. Something inside me broke that day, but something else was born, a cold, calculating clarity I never knew I possessed. I waited, watched, and began to understand the full scope of Emily's betrayal. It wasn't just about James. Through careful investigation, I discovered that Emily had been the source of all the workplace rumors. She had used every confidence I'd shared, every vulnerability I'd exposed, to craft the perfect character assassination. She had systematically undermined my relationships with colleagues, clients, and even other friends. All while playing the supportive best friend. The wedding was called off with a simple email from James: "I can't go through with this. I'm in love with someone else." Emily called me immediately, playing the part of the shocked and concerned friend. She even offered to let me stay at her place until things settled down. That's when I decided, Emily wouldn't just face consequences, she would experience everything she'd done to me, magnified tenfold. I started slowly, methodically. First, I gathered evidence. Years of friendship meant I knew all her secrets, every skeleton in her closet. The questionable accounting at her workplace where she'd been embezzling small amounts. The married men she'd seduced for professional advancement. The prescription drug habit she'd developed after her divorce. I documented everything. Then I waited for the perfect moment. Emily and James had moved in together, flaunting their relationship at every opportunity. She'd even taken my position at work after I was forced to resign. Her life looked perfect on the surface, just like mine had. I created an anonymous email account and began sending carefully crafted messages to key people in Emily's life. Her boss received documentation of her financial misconduct. The wives of her former conquests got detailed timelines of their husbands' indiscretions. Local business contacts received proof of her professional duplicity. But I didn't stop there. I used every trick she'd taught me about manipulation and turned them against her. Subtle rumors began circulating about her stability. Questions arose about her qualifications. Former allies started doubting her stories. James was the easiest to turn. I made sure he discovered Emily's other ongoing affairs, especially the one with his best friend. It took less than a month for their relationship to implode spectacularly. I watched from a distance as Emily's carefully constructed world crumbled piece by piece. Her professional reputation was in tatters. Her social circle disintegrated as people discovered her various betrayals. The financial cushion she'd built through her embezzlement scheme was discovered, leading to legal troubles. The perfect moment came when she showed up at my door one rainy night, mascara running down her face, begging for help. She claimed she'd learned her lesson, that she was sorry, that she needed her best friend back. I listened quietly as she sobbed through her apologies and explanations. When she finally ran out of words, I smiled, the same smile she used to give me while plotting my downfall. "You know what the funny thing is, Emily?" I said softly. "I actually have to thank you. You taught me the most valuable lesson of my life: trust should be earned, not given. And once broken, it should never be offered again." The look on her face when she realized I was behind everything was worth every moment of pain she'd caused me. She tried to threaten me, to expose my revenge plot, but who would believe her? She'd burned every bridge, destroyed every relationship. Her words would be dismissed as the desperate accusations of a woman who'd ruined her own life. Some might say I went too far, that I became just like her. But I disagree. Emily destroyed lives for personal gain, out of envy and malice. I simply ensured that justice was served, that actions had consequences. The aftermath brought unexpected peace. I moved to a new city, built a successful consulting business, and found real friends who valued loyalty over competition. James tried to reconcile, claiming Emily had manipulated him, but I had learned to value myself too much to accept half-hearted apologies. Last I heard, Emily was working as a waitress in a small diner 3 states away, starting over with nothing but the consequences of her choices to keep her company. Sometimes I think about her, not with anger or satisfaction, but with a kind of detached pity. She had everything: true friendship, love, success, and threw it all away because she couldn't bear to see someone else happy. They say living well is the best revenge, but I disagree. The best revenge is making sure that those who harm others face the full weight of their actions. It's about justice, not vengeance. About consequences, not cruelty. Do I regret what I did? No. Would I do it again? In a heartbeat. Because sometimes the only way to deal with toxic people is to give them a taste of their own medicine, administered with surgical precision and served ice cold. As for forgiveness, that's a complex question. I've forgiven myself for trusting too easily, for being blind to the signs, for allowing someone else to have so much power over my happiness. But forgiving Emily? That would require her to truly understand the depth of her betrayal, to feel genuine remorse, to make real amends. Until then, my forgiveness would just be another thing for her to manipulate and exploit. The experience taught me that true friendship isn't about proximity or shared history, it's about respect, loyalty, and genuine care for another person's well-being. Emily never understood that. She saw our friendship as a competition, a zero-sum game where my happiness somehow diminished hers. In the end, this isn't just a story about revenge. It's a story about self-discovery, about finding strength in betrayal, about learning that sometimes the people closest to us can be the most dangerous. It's about understanding that while revenge might be sweet, justice, real, deserved justice, is satisfying in a way that no amount of vengeance can match. I still have the friendship bracelet Emily and I made in 4th grade, tucked away in a box of memories. Sometimes I look at it and remember the innocent girls we once were, before envy and betrayal poisoned everything. It serves as a reminder that trust, once broken, leaves scars that never fully heal, but those scars can make us stronger, wiser, and more discerning about who we allow into our hearts. Would I warn my younger self about Emily? Probably not. Some lessons can only be learned through pain, and some strengths can only be discovered when we're forced to rebuild ourselves from scratch. Besides, without Emily's betrayal, I might never have discovered my own resilience, my capacity for strategic thinking, my ability to rise from the ashes stronger than before. So here's to Emily, wherever she is. Thank you for teaching me that sometimes the worst betrayals lead to the best revelations. And thank you for showing me that while revenge might be a dish best served cold, justice is a feast best enjoyed in peace, with the satisfaction of knowing that karma has a way of balancing the scales. The most unexpected outcome of this whole ordeal wasn't the satisfaction of seeing Emily's downfall, it was discovering who my true friends were. People I'd considered mere acquaintances stepped up in amazing ways. Like Maria from accounting, who'd quietly documented every inconsistency in Emily's expense reports. Or Tom from IT, who helped trace the source of those manipulated emails. They saw through Emily's facade long before I did, but waited patiently for me to see it too. These new friendships were different, built on mutual respect rather than dependency. No one tried to control me or compete with me. We celebrated each other's successes without envy, supported each other through failures without judgment. It was refreshing, healing even, to experience what genuine friendship should feel like. The professional comeback was equally satisfying. Starting my own consulting firm wasn't just about making money, it was about reclaiming my narrative. Every client I helped, every project I succeeded in, was a step further away from the reputation Emily had tried to destroy. I specialized in crisis management and reputation repair, using my experience to help others rebuild their lives after similar betrayals. One day, about 2 years after everything happened, I received an unexpected email from James's sister, Lauren. She'd always been kind to me, and unlike her brother, she had the decency to apologize for not seeing through Emily's manipulation sooner. The email contained something interesting. Emily had apparently been writing a blog about her unfair downfall and her journey to reclaim her life. Reading through her posts was fascinating. She'd rewritten our entire history, casting herself as the victim of a cruel conspiracy. In her version, I was the manipulative one, she was the innocent friend who'd fallen in love against her will, and everything that happened to her was unjust persecution. It was a masterclass in self-deception. But here's the thing about lies, they require constant maintenance. Emily's blog posts became increasingly contradictory as she struggled to maintain her fictional narrative. Her few remaining readers started pointing out inconsistencies. The comments section became a battlefield between those who believed her stories and those who knew the truth. I never commented on her blog. I didn't need to. The truth has a way of emerging, piece by piece, until no amount of manipulation can hide it. Besides, I was too busy living my life to worry about her attempts to rewrite history. The real turning point in my healing came when I started mentoring young professionals. Many of them had experienced workplace betrayal or toxic friendships. Sharing my story, not just the revenge part, but the recovery and rebuilding, helped them navigate their own challenges. It was therapeutic, transforming my pain into something constructive. One of my ments, Jessica, faced a situation eerily similar to mine. Her best friend was subtly undermining her at work while pretending to be supportive. Instead of helping Jessica plot revenge, I helped her document everything, protect herself professionally, and set healthy boundaries. She handled it with grace and wisdom, proving that sometimes the best revenge is simply refusing to play the game. Looking back, I realized that Emily's betrayal, while painful, was also a gift in disguise. It forced me to confront my own naivety, to recognize that trust should be earned incrementally, not given unconditionally. It taught me to read people more carefully, to trust my instincts when something feels off, and to value actions over words. The experience also showed me that strength doesn't always look like we expect it to. Sometimes it's not about fighting back immediately, but about waiting, watching, and choosing the right moment to act. Sometimes it's about knowing when to walk away, and sometimes it's about standing your ground and ensuring justice is served. I still believe in friendship, perhaps more deeply now than ever before. But I believe in it with open eyes and clear boundaries. I know that real friends don't need to tear you down to build themselves up. They don't view your success as their failure. They don't use your vulnerabilities as weapons against you. Emily's betrayal didn't make me bitter, it made me better. More discerning, yes, but also more appreciative of genuine connections. More cautious, but also more authentic. I no longer feel the need to maintain friendships that drain me or tolerate behavior that diminishes me. Sometimes I wonder if Emily ever truly understood what she lost. Not just the material things, the job, the reputation, the relationships, but the chance to be part of something genuine and lasting. The opportunity to grow alongside someone who would have supported her unconditionally, celebrated her successes, and helped her through her failures. But that's her journey to figure out, not mine. My journey has taken me to places I never expected, stronger relationships, a thriving business, and a deeper understanding of both human nature and my own resilience. I've learned that while betrayal can break you, it's the rebuilding that defines you. The last time I heard anything about Emily, she was trying to rebuild her life in that small town. Part of me hopes she's learned from her mistakes, that she's becoming a better person. Not for my sake, I've moved on completely, but for her own. Living with that much envy and malice must be exhausting. As for me, I'm exactly where I need to be. Surrounded by genuine friends, running a successful business, and helping others navigate their own paths through betrayal and recovery. I've found that sweet spot between caution and openness, between protecting myself and allowing myself to form deep connections. The friendship bracelet still sits in its box, a reminder of simpler times and harder lessons. But next to it now sits a new bracelet, one made with my current friends during a weekend retreat. It's not as perfectly crafted as the childhood one, we're all terrible at crafts, but it represents something far more valuable, friendship built on truth, respect, and genuine care. Life has a funny way of teaching us exactly what we need to learn, even if the lessons come in painful packages. Emily taught me about betrayal, but more importantly, she taught me about resilience. She showed me my own strength, not through support but through opposition. And for that, paradoxically, I am grateful. In the end, the best revenge wasn't about making Emily pay for her actions, though justice certainly demanded that she did. The best revenge was becoming someone stronger, wiser, and more authentic than I ever could have been without facing that betrayal. It was about turning pain into purpose, betrayal into wisdom, and loss into growth. Would I change what happened if I could? No. Every step of this journey, every painful revelation and calculated response, shaped me into who I am today. And that person, stronger, wiser, more discerning but still capable of true friendship, is someone I'm proud to be. Recently, I was invited to speak at a women's leadership conference about building authentic professional relationships. As I prepared my presentation, I found myself reflecting on how far I'd come from those dark days of betrayal. The room was filled with ambitious young women, many of whom had their own stories of friendship gone wrong or trust misplaced. I shared my story, not focusing on the revenge aspect, but on the reconstruction, how to rebuild yourself when someone you trusted tries to tear you down. The questions afterward were telling. So many people had experienced similar betrayals but felt ashamed to admit it, as if trusting someone who proved unworthy somehow made them foolish. One attendee's question particularly struck me: how do you know when someone's truly changed and deserves a second chance? It made me think about Emily again. 3 months ago, I received a letter from her, a real letter, handwritten on actual paper. She'd found it through my business address, which isn't exactly private. The letter was different from her previous attempts at reconciliation. No dramatic declarations of remorse, no grand promises of change. Instead, it was simple, almost clinical. She acknowledged specific actions she'd taken, explained her understanding of why they were wrong, and described the work she'd been doing with a therapist to address her deep-seated insecurities and competitive nature. She didn't ask for forgiveness or friendship. She simply wanted me to know that she finally understood the magnitude of what she'd done, not just to me, but to herself. The letter ended with a statement that showed more self-awareness than I'd ever seen from her: "I don't expect this to change anything between us. I just needed you to know that you were right, about everything. And I'm finally doing the work I should have done years ago." I never responded to the letter, but I keep it in my office drawer. Not as a trophy or a reminder of victory, but as evidence that people can change if they're willing to face their own darkness. Emily's journey to self-awareness doesn't erase what she did, but it suggests that maybe, just maybe, the ripples of this story reached further than I imagined. My consulting firm has grown beyond my wildest expectations. We now specialize in helping companies build healthy workplace cultures and address toxic behaviors before they escalate. Every case I handle is unique, but they all share common threads: people using trust as a weapon, ambition twisted into destruction, the thin line between healthy competition and harmful sabotage. Last week, I was working with a client whose situation felt familiar: a trusted colleague systematically undermining them while maintaining a facade of friendship. As I helped them document the behavior and develop a strategic response, I realized something profound: Emily's betrayal hadn't just made me stronger, it had given me the tools to help others protect themselves. The universe has a strange sense of humor sometimes. Through my work, I've actually encountered several of Emily's former victims from other parts of her life. People she'd manipulated, careers she tried to destroy, relationships she'd poisoned. Each story helped me understand the full pattern of her behavior, and each survivor added another piece to the puzzle of who Emily really was. But here's the most interesting part: many of these people had gone through similar transformations. Like me, they'd emerged stronger, more resilient, more capable of spotting and standing up to manipulation. Emily, in her attempts to destroy us, had inadvertently created a network of strong, supportive individuals who now help others navigate similar challenges. I sometimes think about the butterfly effect of it all. Emily's actions, meant to tear people down, ultimately led to the creation of support systems and resources for others facing similar situations. Her betrayal of me led to a successful consulting firm that helps countless others. Her pattern of destruction actually sparked multiple paths of construction. Life has a way of bringing things full circle. Last month, I was asked to write a book about building resilient professional relationships. The advance copy sits on my desk now, dedicated to those who taught me the hard way about the importance of authentic connections. Emily isn't named, but her influence is there in every chapter, not as the villain, but as the catalyst that sparked a journey of growth and understanding. The friendship bracelet and the blog posts and all the other artifacts of our shared history have been packed away. They're part of my story, but they no longer define it. Instead, my office walls are covered with thank you notes from clients who've reclaimed their lives, photos with my real friends who've stood by me through everything, and reminders of all the positive changes that grew from that initial betrayal. They say that time heals all wounds, but I think it's more accurate to say that time gives us perspective. What felt like the end of my world became the beginning of a better one. Emily's betrayal was like a forest fire, destructive in the moment, but creating fertile ground for new growth. I've learned that the opposite of betrayal isn't loyalty, it's authenticity. Being true to yourself and others, even when it's uncomfortable. Standing firm in your values, even when it costs you something. Recognizing that real strength lies not in controlling others, but in controlling your own responses to their actions. So here's to unexpected journeys and unwanted lessons. To the friends who show up when everyone else leaves. To the strength we find when we have no other choice. And yes, even to the Emilys of the world, may they find their way to better versions of themselves, and may their attempts to destroy others continue to backfire into beautiful acts of creation. As I finish writing this, a notification pops up on my phone, another 5-star review from my consulting firm, another person helped, another story of transformation. The client mentions how our work together helped them not just overcome betrayal, but use it as a stepping stone to something greater. That's the real victory, isn't it? Not just surviving betrayal, but transforming it into something meaningful. Someone once asked me if I still believe in karma. The truth is, I don't think karma is some mysterious force that balances the universe. I think karma is simply the natural consequence of our actions, rippling outward in ways we can't always predict. Emily's actions created ripples of pain, but those ripples eventually transformed into waves of strength, wisdom, and healing, not just for me, but for countless others. And that, perhaps, is the most satisfying revenge of all.